Occupation no more. Israel is a terror state.
I have to say, you look much better.
Palestine! Palestine! Will be free! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! We will never let you die! 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 Marxist basic boycott!
It is your pressure which has forced the British government to review its arms sales to Israel. Okay, we know that they decided to do what they wanted to do anyway, continue the sales. But that's a sign that we are building a new and stronger movement than ever. Internationally, throughout the world, people like you are doing more than they've ever done, and many for the first time for Palestine. We were privileged to be invited to the home of Samir Issawi. Now Samir, as many of you probably know, engaged in a hunger strike which lasted over 200 days, and he gave us a great compliment. He said, "You are not just supporters of Palestine, you are Palestinians." Yes, you are Palestinians. You are helping to build the free Palestinian. And let me finish with the words of a great Irish revolutionary and martyr, Bobby Sands. He said, "Our revenge is in the laughter of our children." And that is what we are fighting for. We are fighting for a Palestine where children will not be subject to constant fear, the threat of death, the reality of death and trauma. We are fighting for a Palestine where children can laugh again. Thank you.
David Cameron!
Shame on you!
David Cameron!
Shame on you!
David Cameron!
Shame on you!
Now, the beheading of the United States journalist was awful, but it's being manipulated and used by the media and by the government to whip up Islamophobia, to rip up a deep racism towards Muslims and towards Arabs, and it's despicable. And Obama and Cameron and the press here actually need to remove the beam that's in their eye. They talk about, yes, they report 2,000 deaths of Palestinians in Gaza. They talk about 450 deaths of children. They talk about 10,000 injuries. But that's all they do. They don't describe it in its horror, in its lucid horror, in the way in which they talk about this American journalist. They actually refer to it in a way that anonymizes it and makes it anodyne. They don't refer to the person who had to carry his child in bits home in a polythene bag from the butchers of hell. They don't talk about the mutilated injuries, the charred bodies, the fragmented bits of people that people have to search in the rubble of their homes for so they can gather their remains and bury them. The pictures of this incredible consequence, of this unbelievable behavior by Israel, are banned from the media in Israel. Even the 75% of Israelis who support them won't have the stomach to see the consequences of their action.
There is incitement on an unbelievable scale by the Israeli leadership, and actually to call them leaders is giving them a lot more respect than they deserve. They're not leaders, but actually they are leading Israel to isolation. Let's be clear, that's why they're leading Israel. So they have been inciting both against the Palestinian Authority, against the resistance fighters, and against individual Palestinians, to the extent that Palestinians in Jerusalem fear going into the non-Palestinian areas from attack, because they do get attacked, they get abused. Even personal experience, a relative of mine who went to a hospital appointment, they live in Jerusalem, so they go to Israeli hospitals, and when she got there, she was shouted at, she was told to get out, I don't want to deal with you. That is all because the leadership in Israel is hiking up racism. I cannot begin to describe to you what it must be like for someone to lose 28 members of their family. I cannot begin to describe to you what it would be like to feel that your home has been bombed and there's no prospect of you going back to a home for maybe 8 months or a year. It must be absolutely just so difficult to even comprehend. But every single person I spoke to says, we are behind the resistance because we want to be freed from this illegal Israeli occupation. Our work here will contribute to that. We mustn't stop. The fact that you are here today, the fact that in Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, and everywhere, people are still coming out on the 48th day of this terrorist attack by a terrorist state on the helpless Palestinian people shows that we must continue to do this, and one day we will all go to Jerusalem, a free Jerusalem, free from occupation. Thank you.
So this ceasefire broke down for one simple reason, and that is because the Israeli state will not lift the siege of Gaza. Now, why would any people, after they have been relentlessly attacked, bombed, their schools, their hospitals, their children destroyed by bombing, why would they say, we will have a ceasefire just so that you can rearm and do the same thing again the next time? There can be no lasting ceasefire until the Israeli state lifts the siege of Gaza. In fact, even Gaza as it exists cannot be rebuilt until the siege is lifted, because the materials for the rebuilding could not get through the siege as it previously existed. So even to rebuild Gaza, even to reconstruct the damage that's been done, even for that reason, the siege of Gaza must be lifted, and that is the precondition of any future progress. And that will happen all the quicker if the people who arm and sustain the state of Israel feel the political pressure of a mass movement like this. It was only the fact that we took to the streets, that we made this an issue for the British government, that the Liberals decided that they had to put some pressure on the coalition and said that they would, if fighting restarted, suspend 12 export licenses of arms to the Israelis. Well, the fighting has restarted. So we approached the government and we said to them, okay, you said if there was more fighting that those licenses would be cancelled. And you know what they said? We're not sure there's been enough fighting yet. Well, how much fighting does there have to be? How many craters in the ground? How many Palestinians killed? How many hospitals destroyed? How many schools reduced to dust before you decide there's enough fighting and those export licenses should be cancelled? Let's be clear. This is the first demand. Take the weapons out of the hands of the Israelis. Stop giving the Israelis arms.
This demonstration was called at only a few days' notice, and look at the size of it already. And look around you. We are all people committed to support the Palestinian people. We have lots of differences. We have different faiths, we have different political views, we have different nationalities, we have different communities. We're united, and we're united in sending a message both to our government and to the wider world concerning the plight of Palestinian people. But the phenomena of meetings and rallies in London is not unique. We turned out 150,000 people 2 weeks ago, the biggest ever demonstration anywhere in Europe, possibly in most of the world, in support of the Palestinian people. And next time it'll be even bigger. We are not going away. And then all around the world, massive demonstrations took place in South Africa, in India, in Pakistan, all across South Asia, demonstrations in support of the Palestinian people. All across Latin America, demonstrations in support of the Palestinian people. And it's had an effect, had a big effect. The Chilean government suspended trade. The Argentinian government took action. The Venezuelan government took action. The Ecuadorian government took action. The Bolivian government took action. The Brazilian government took action. Why? Brazil, I did say Brazil, yes I did. I said that twice now, okay. There's a Brazilian in the front row here, it's okay. And I want to say a big thank you to all of those people, because not only have they acted and forced their government to do something, they've also encouraged their own governments to vote for Palestinian recognition at the UN. In Mexico, there's been demonstrations every week in the center of Mexico City showing their support for the Palestinian people, and not publicized, massive demonstrations all across the USA in support of the Palestinian people. Now, I got a message from my great friends in the Longshoremen's Union in San Francisco. They have been blockading Israeli vessels. They have been taking firm industrial action. The great Jack Hayman, as ever, has been leading the cause for the Palestinian people. Massive demonstration of rabbis in New York against the bombing of Gaza. And so it kind of matters that we're doing this. And I was very impressed and very pleased when I got a message last week. I'm sure many of you have seen it because we put it out on the social media as quickly as we could. 10,000 people demonstrated in Tel Aviv against the Israeli government's bombing of Gaza. So when they tell us we're a narrow sectarian bunch, sorry friend, you're wrong. We are representative of all decent people who think it is simply wrong to kill 2,000 people in Gaza, render 500,000 homeless, and Britain is not just an innocent bystander in all this. Britain's complicity in this disaster for the Palestinian people goes back a long way. But think about it, how come Israel, a country of 5 million people, has managed to develop nuclear weapons? It's an awfully small country to have those kind of resources to develop nuclear weapons. Where did the technology come from? Was it not the USA, France and Britain? Was it not also support given by the then apartheid regime in South Africa that helped all that? And we have £2 billion worth of arms deals over the past few years alone with Israel. And the British government, despite all our demands for suspension of the arms trade, as John Rees pointed out, has only said it would suspend 12 of the many licenses depending on the intensity of the fighting and the duration of the ceasefire. Search me as to what that means. My demand to our government is quite simple. Why do we have a military relationship with a country that abuses human rights, that is under investigation for war crimes, that has killed 2,000 people in the past month in Gaza, not to mention all the others that have been killed in Operation Cast Lead on all the other occasions? Stop all arms trade with Israel now!
Before I end, the next speaker will read names of the Palestinians who killed and murdered in Palestine, in Gaza. We will pray for our people. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. غير المغضوب عليهم. ولا الضالين آمين. Thank you very much. السلام عليكم.
The first is an unidentified child. Second, Omar Muhammad Jarboon. The third is an unknown woman. The fourth is an unknown child. The fifth, Rafat Mustafa Allah. The sixth, Muhammad Mustafa Allah. The seventh, Nabila Abid Allah. The eighth, the death of Nabila Abid Allah's baby. The ninth, Farah Rafat Allah. The 10th, Masira Rafat Allah. And the 11th, Mustafa Rafat Allah. The 12th, Ahmed Mustafa Abid Allah. The 13th, an unknown individual killed. The 14th, Sami Hassan Ayyad. The 15th, Noor Abu Hasira. The 16th, Mustafa Rabah Ad-Dallur. The 17th, Wafa Hussein Ad-Dallur. The 18th, Mustafa Darwish Muhaysin. The 19th, Sufyan Darwish Muhaysin. The 20th, Ali Ad-Dayf, 7 months old. The 21st, Widad Ad-Dayf, his mother. The 22nd, Muhammad Imad Al-Abid. The 23rd, Sahar Al-Abid. The 24th, an unknown from a Dallur family. The 25th, an unknown from a Dallur family. And the 26th, an unknown from a Dallur family. The 27th, another unknown. The 28th, another unknown. The 29th, yet another unknown. And the 30th, another unknown. And the 31st, another unknown. Abdullah Saleh As-Safi, the 32nd. The 33rd, Haytham Ramadan Al-Aoud. On Thursday, the 34th, Omar Abu Nada. The 74th, Yassine Hamad Abu Hamid. The 75th, Musa Ahmed Al-Abdaliya. Abadla. Ahmed Qasim Al-Abadla. And Ismail Abu Tayhan. Inshallah, this will be all.
I want us all to make a pledge here that we will not forget all of those who have become martyrs in this struggle. We will not forget that they have been killed, and we will continue the struggle until Palestine is free. As Allah said, inshallah, they will be the last names that we will have to read out. Thank you all for remembering them, and thank you all for your minute silence.
We know why we're here. We say, UK, stop arming! UK, stop arming! Because we do not want blood on our hands. We do not want blood on our hands, do we? No! But the UK government is putting up blood on our hands because they'll make us complicit in allowing UK to export arms components to Israel. Stop arming Israel! UK! Stop arming Israel! UK! Stop arming Israel! Finish! That's it! That's the message! That's the one message we need to be clear on! That's it! Thank you very much.
Occupation no more! Israel is a terrorist state!